Welcome to Message Reveal. With Message Reveal, we tell a story through lyrics of a song, and I didn't got thrown off. We identify a vibe, a message, or a story through lyrics of a song. So before we get started, I have this amazing special guest that I am so excited she said yes. First of all, I have to say she's a native of Las Vegas. So we have to big up that. Anytime we have natives on, we have to say yay to our natives. Secondly, this dynamic woman set history on the Las Vegas Strip in the 70s. She was the public relations specialist for Desert Inn, the first Black woman to do so. So that is amazing, and we'll unpack that later. But the last thing about her, and again, this she has many things that's associated with her. She grows in her garden. She gives wisdom to people like me. So you guys, please put your hand together for a woman, the one and only Miss Jackie Bentley. Yay!
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I can't tell you how happy I feel just being here in this vibe. It's just an exciting moment, a great vibe, a difference, making a difference in the day. Thank you for having me.
Oh, without a doubt, I'm just excited that you said yes, and thank you for saying yes. So, before we get started, I'll look at some of my notes. I want you to tell me something about you. And I want you to start with the piece, unpack the piece about gardening. I had the opportunity to come to your house years ago, and you showed me your beautiful garden. And I was just like, it's an oasis and it's beautiful. What is the catalyst for you to do your gardening?
Well, gardening is such a part of my history. I grew up in the historic West Side, and in the block where I was raised, all of our neighbors had little gardens, right? The ladies had their own kitchen garden, herb garden. My grandmother lived a block away. My godmother lived two houses down. They had the fabulous gardens and flowers, and it was just like an oasis in the desert in the historic West Side, if you can believe that. And they were so proud of what they grew. And I do mean proud in
Yes.
terms of collard greens, which you'll probably see back here in a pot ready to go in my garden, and eggplant, corn, peanuts, sweet potatoes,
Really?
sugar cane, grapes, apricots, turnip greens. Needless to say, all of these things were growing freely, and they would work that soil. They were so proud of working that soil and getting their hands in that dirt. And so as a little girl, I just piddled around all of these beautiful women, and my grandfather, grandmother, godmother, next door neighbors. Just about everybody on the block had a plot. So we were pretty healthy growing up. Okay.
Nice.
Right. So that gives you an idea. And my grandmother, of course, she had every flower known to man. And, and I get a lot of that from her because I do like exotic flowers as well in my garden.
I didn't know that. So
Oh,
give
yeah.
me one example of exotic flower that you love.
Actually, I like cosmos.
I'm aware.
Cosmos is like a fun, wispy flower. It's a summertime flower. It's light and airy and fluffy, and they come in all colors, green and yellow. And then I also like zinnia. I grow zinnia, and I grow this one it's called Envy, and it's lime green. So when you're over, I'll cut you some and let you put it on your table.
I would absolutely love that. I would love that. I fell in love with plants and flowers maybe about 14, 15 years ago. And it has blessed my spirit. It keeps the energy of my house
It
in a
does.
certain way. People come over and they say, "Is that real?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I love them and I talk to them and I kiss them and I do all of those things. So, yes, we'll definitely, and I will hold you accountable for that piece of flower so I
Okay.
can grow that in my
Yeah.
own home. So,
Okay.
so before we get started, I always ask my guests to share a lyric of a song that has either blessed them or provided a distraction or given them a perspective of life. But before we get started with these questions, it's rules to this. And the rules that I have now, if you can sing, you must sing. Yes, 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 you young lady. If you can rap, you must rap it. But if you cannot do any one of those things, then you must say it boldly. So I would like for you to give me a lyric of a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or giving you a perspective in life.
That is it's hard to narrow them all down to one. I mean, you're putting me on a spot
Yes, ma'am.
because I live through lyrics and music. And then of course, one of my favorite groups is Earth, Wind, and Fire. They are the soundtrack of my life, and I can give a lot of my success to their lyrics. We won't go into them today because there's so many songs, and it would not be fair to list one and not the other. But the life lessons and the distractions. There's a song that they sang that I take with me. You're a shining star.
Oh,
No
yes.
matter who you are, shine bright to see what
Yes.
your life can be. Shining star, what your
I
life,
love
what your life. So, I mean, Maurice White, was so blessed, and Philip Bailey, the whole group, they were so honored, so spiritual, so blessed. Their mother was a minister.
I
That,
did not know
oh
that.
yes, and their father was a doctor. So I mean, they could have done anything. They could have gone in any way, through their success and being brought up with the luxuries, but they chose music so that they could spread joy. And I'm sure their parents were quite happy with what they did, because
Absolutely.
without Earth, Wind, and Fire, some evenings coming home from a situation
Hmm.
and knowing that I got to get back up and go back into the race again the next day, I put them on. I
Yes.
put them on, and they carried me through so many, as you say, at levels where energy was low, and then you wanted to pick that energy up, and there you go. Although Earth, Wind, and Fire are my favorites, but there's this one lady that her voice got me.
Hmm.
Dinah Washington. Dinah
Wow.
Washington hit me. I was a little girl, and she was amazing. And all of the elders were just so in love with her voice and her singing partner, Brooke Benton.
Hmm.
And a lot of people would remember, "Baby, you got what it takes." Well, we do have what it takes.
Yes, ma'am.
But Dinah Washington came along at a time during the Great Migration, and she was married like 8 times. She found the right guy, but she was so good to her family. People forget she
Mm.
was good to her family. She won a Grammy for,
Wow.
yeah, for, and the song that I was researching the song that I was going to share with you about this energy. But the song is What a Difference the Day Makes.
Yes. Can you
24 little hours.
isn't that the truth if you think about it?
Yes. And it may pose as a love song because it was originally written in Spanish. It was written by a wonderful singer, Maria Guerrero, who you know studied in France. Her father was Spanish, her mother was Mexican, and they were well off, and so they were back and forth to Europe, but she wrote her first song when she was about 3. So she wrote What a Difference a Day Makes
Wow.
in Spanish. Well, along comes Ella Fitzgerald and all of these other beautiful women. And of course, Dinah Washington ran with the ball.
Yes.
because she put her twist on it, and
Yes.
that put her on the map. That was a Grammy back in the
Wow.
50s, right?
So
So
she set the standards
she
for the
set the
song.
standard for the song, and she had a full orchestra behind her. And when I want to warm up my vocal cords, that's a song that I sing every morning.
Well, can you be so gracious and give us a little bit of that particular song?
Okay. What a difference a day makes. 24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers. Oh, where there used to be rain,
Ooh.
my yesterday was blue, dear. Now I'm a part of you, dear. My lonely nights are through, dear, since you said you were mine. Lord, what a difference a day makes. There's a rainbow before me. Skies of blue can't be stormy. Since that moment of bliss, that thrilling kiss, it's heaven when you find romance on your menu. What a difference a day makes, and the difference is you.
Phenomenal. You are amazing. Oh my gosh. I am over here,
I
girl.
love
If
that
you,
song.
I love that. And thank you for, I put
Love
you on
it.
the spot and you
Yeah, you
did
did.
your thing.
Yes, you did.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. And yes, what a difference a day truly makes.
Yes, and you can make a difference in your life, and people don't have to equate it to just romance. They can
Yes.
equate it to the generosity of giving to others, the
Yes.
generosity of representing, of sitting down with a child and tutoring them, helping someone out that's less fortunate than yourself, and also
Hmm.
volunteering and giving back to your
Yes.
community. That's what that song means to me.
I love how you not only gave us the vocal part, but really unpacked it from your point of view. And everything that you just said, I resonate with it 1,000%. I think it was absolutely beautiful. So, as we talk about this song, I just want to unpack something you said about the first song, You're a Shining Star. And you said how if you had a long day and you would get in the car and that would kind of just set you right. So before I go there, what I'm trying to get to, originally when I introduced you, I talked about you at the Desert Inn Hotel in the 70s setting a standard, being the first Black woman for as a public relation specialist. Can you give me some history, how it came about, and how you had to navigate that world versus where you came from? I hope I didn't give you too much to unpack.
No, it's surreal for me now at my age, going back, because so many people are interested in that particular phase of my life. And I was young. I had no fear. It was during the civil rights movement, right after the civil rights movement. It was after integration. Segregation was a thing of the past, and it was affirmative action, the feminine movement. I mean, it was so many um, ecosystems, if I can use that word, all in one period of time. And God put me right in the right spot, because it wasn't me. I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
now it couldn't have been me. It could not have been me,
Yeah.
but it was me,
Yes.
because it was the time, everything that I had studied up to that point, every time I went to a class, every time I went to a meeting, every time I thought about an assignment, I did it. And
Wow.
what it all prepared me for was for
Yes.
that job. Because
Wow.
I worked for the Clark County School District for 8 years, and I started as the receptionist at 18 years old, and I worked my way up to the executive secretary to the personnel manager, and he was an associate superintendent. So it took me about 7 years to leapfrog my way up to the top with
Nice.
adult evening classes from UNLV, all kinds of different service classes that they offered at the school district. And then I worked around a lot of educated people.
Yes.
And so I was happy to do that. And of course, my mother was a teacher, and it was just lovely. So I went to work there at the Desert Inn after I had my son. Joel was 15 months old. And I went to the interview, and there were women flying in from around the country. I went to the personnel office and just wrote my resume, believe it or not.
Hand.
No, I typed it. Okay. I wrote my resume for the job of my dreams. Okay. And in my objective, I just put myself in that objective, and I said, I'd like to work in an area where I am just phenomenal in customer service and public relations, and I want to give all that I've got from what I hooked it up.
You poured everything in you. You wanted out.
That's right. I wanted that, and I didn't know about the job. I just went to the Hughes Corporation, the personnel office, and the receptionist read it, and she said, "You know what's your phone number?" So I gave her my phone number, and I left. So the next day they said, "Well, look, we want you for an interview at the Desert Inn." The next day.
Oh, so that was the catalyst of it.
And so I went to the interview, and the interview was with Jenny McIlvain and Bonnie Hayes, and one was the director of advertising and public relations, one was the director of entertainment. So it was two directors, and they both liked me. So they hired me and split me down the middle. So I was doing entertainers contracts, and then I was working with creative, and I was working with all the press on one. I had to go to all the shows, and I'm telling you, if they needed an aspirin, I had to be there to give them one.
Wow.
So then I jumped into what I said I wanted to do. Didn't I ask God? Didn't I say that's what I wanted to do? Okay, then it manifested itself. And Ayala Van Zandt said, she said, be careful what you ask for. Because
ain't that the truth?
You manifest it, it's manifesting to you, and you're manifesting it, and bam, you got it. If you, listen to the universe, listen to what your heart is saying, listen, because it's calling you. I mean, not just me, anybody could have done, but that was, and then I just loved it. I love people. I love working with the employees. I love working with the guests. I love working with the administration.
Well, speaking of guests, can you name a couple of entertaining guests that because I know one was, I remember you mentioning
Wayne Newton.
Yes.
I worked with Wayne Newton. He was the king of all of the Howard Hughes hotels, and when he would appear, it would be like Usher. The people would wrap around the building 4 or 5 times.
I like that reference.
And then, maybe Usher would give me some tickets. Anyway, he was so good. Because he was a kid in Vegas. He started at 15 at downtown at the Fremont Hotel, and it was Wayne Newton, and he had a brother. It was 2 of them, sort of like the Everly Brothers, and I just loved his music, and so. It was just easy for me to get into his public relations and work with his public relations staff. It was just easy for me. And he was so kind. And one thing about Wayne Newton, every year, Wayne Newton would take his own money and have a party for all of the ground handlers, the airport staff, the cab drivers, their family. He would just put a family, it would be a big party, and we would have it at the Desert Inn.
Wow.
And then he would give gifts to see, people don't know a lot about him. He was he was a humanitarian. He's still a humanitarian. I love Wayne Newton. And his godfather was Walter Kane, who was the director of entertainment for all of the Howard Hughes hotels. And he
Really?
was in his 70s and running the show. I don't feel so bad. I'm in my 70s talking to you.
And look amazing. Okay.
Thank you. So he wanted me to put a party together for his 75th birthday, right? So I got down with the get down. I like I tell my students, I say, oh yes, I just love Wayne Newton. And I tell you what, Wayne Newton and Walter Kane. And so we did a big party, 76 and 76. That was our theme. And we all had the little badges, and then we had all the stars there. Well, everybody was going to be there because he's the entertainment director, right?
Of course.
So you would have people, you had United Press International, Associated Press, all of the newspapers, all of the radio stations, including one of the bureau chiefs for the national press, who was Myron Borders at the time. She was very particular about where she went, what she did, because her character in terms of news media, she came.
Oh, right now.
Oh yes, she was there.
Yes.
And so there were things that I did that, of course, and that probably hit the Hollywood Reporter and the Variety magazine, hosted by Jackie Brantlry.
Yes.
A lot of people didn't know it was me. Gambling Times. And then plus I had like 30, 40 press people that I would invite to every show.
And that was a part of promotion, correct?
That's right. And then I got acquainted with a lot of the PR geniuses, people like Mary Heddick and Seymour Heller. These were people that work with the famous people out of Hollywood and their PR. So I got acquainted with Mark Mordeau, who did Juliet Prowse's PR. I got acquainted with Seymour Heller, who did Debbie Reynolds' PR.
Wow.
Ginger Rogers, Bobby Gentry. I worked with a lot of those people, and they would contact me, and then I would make sure everything was, when the curtain opened at 8
Yes,
o'clock.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Everything had to be right.
Yes, yes.
And it was an 8-week prior to that moment.
Oh, wow.
Count down, see. But when that curtain opened, I was sitting there.
You were ready, right?
I was ready. And then the show was phenomenal. And I got to use my creative with the advertising agency. It was R&R Advertising. And I worked with their creative staff to bring about a mission, a theme. So
yes.
We tighten it up. So my creative was given a lot. And they were like, well, where's she go? But that's okay. Because when you're ready, you're ready.
That's right.
When you're ready, when it's time for you to get out there and take care of your business.
That's right.
People go, well, wait a minute, where'd she come from, right? I'll never forget Howard Hughes' cousin, William Lummis. He didn't know I was Black. And he was at Walter Kane's party. And he was like, I don't believe this. Well, believe it, so
yes.
Anyway, and I had to pinch myself a lot because you have to go out there, and no matter what other individuals' feelings of Black people or women or young people in positions like that, because I think I was probably maybe 27, 28.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and I just didn't have any fear. I drove a TR6 and I grinded it out down Desert Inn and took my baby where he had to go. And sometimes I put him in the cab, give him the money. You pay the cab driver, you tell him where to go, and he was a little man. He was taking care of his business too.
Well, you taught him to be independent. And I think as a parent, we should always pour into our children because they won't be up under us for the rest of their life. Exactly. Well, we hope not.
Exactly.
So,
well, as it were, the entertainment director, she found a big job somewhere else. And the public relations expert, she found a job somewhere else. And that left me there. De facto, without directors.
Yes.
So I was thinking, well, they're probably going to bring somebody in over me. But they did. They brought a young man in over me who was also a go-getter. and he was the grandson of Perry Lieber, he was Howard Hughes' right-hand man at the old RKO studios in Beverly Hills.
Oh.
I mean, he was a PR giant,
Mm.
family-owned outdoor companies, and these are the kind of people that I had to rub elbows with. And anyway, we became very good friends, and we did all of the in-house newsletters for the employees. We planned the grand opening together, and then he runs off. He wanted to start his own business somewhere. So I said, oh brother, here we go. And so I remember them calling us in, and the general manager said, well, we're gonna hire Ron. And and I said, okay. And I looked at him like, oh, all right, we'll see about that. Anyway, so after he left, then the general manager called me in and say, okay, it's your turn. There you go. So then I was the director.
I never knew that part of the story. You never disclosed that.
No. And what was really fascinating about it is that it happened so fast, right? And now that I am the director,
Yes.
I get to pull out all the stops.
Yes.
I get to pull out all the stops. I used to direct traffic, and I love doing that. Right? So then I was the person that the press had to report to. I was the person that signed the statement, and I mean it was a multi-million-dollar account, and so I had to go through the budget and make sure that the bills were paid. So some people say, were you really the director? I said, well, yeah, I handled the budget and I had to sign it, because if I didn't, nobody was going to get anything.
Well,
so I just want you to know that.
Yes, you were definitely
just understand that part. That part.
Yes,
and then I would
that.
go over the stuff, and if the stuff wasn't right, they didn't get paid.
Well, there you go.
So
that sounds like a director to me.
I think so.
And with that being said, what was some of your challenges for that current time? Did you have some challenges that you incurred that it didn't stop you, but it made you sit and think and you had to navigate a different way?
Oh, yes. There were times, those were turbulent times. As a matter of fact, I think 2 or 3 months before I started my job, Howard Hughes was in the hotel. He was staying in one of the suites, and they call it the executive suite. It was in the St. Andrews Tower. And when he left, and he was hospitalized, and then he died after that. Well, when he died, I was I was there in the hotel, and part of his will, I took dictation. And so a lot of people don't know that either.
Wow.
But there were so many things that was happening really quick. I just grabbed a pencil and started taking dictation for a specific part of it, and then hand it over to the general manager. So that was something that's fleeting. I try to forget about stuff like that, but that was something that really did happen. And it was surreal.
Of course.
When he died, because all the focus was on everything he did in Las Vegas, blah blah blah, including he was not really as kind to Black people.
And that's what I heard.
Yes. And so there were times when he said things that were hurtful, but the wonderful thing about it is that happens all the time. That is not anything new under the sun.
Yes.
You have to, it does not tear you down or make you feel less or inferior or insecure, because you already know that you got what it takes to do that job.
Yes.
So I did not let anybody try to put me down or say to me, oh, well, who are you, this and that. I just did my thing, and I just continued to work until they said, okay, well, you know what? Thank you. And I left there after the grand opening. But the thing was, I couldn't leave there before the grand opening because they would not have me leaving there because they needed me, you know.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, then I will stay until the grand opening. But that's what happened. And then I had an opportunity to learn so much during that period because, I mean, I'm working with one of the top 5 advertising agencies in America.
Yes.
And the agency was called Foot Cone Belding, and they were out of Los Angeles, you know.
Mm.
So I was able to participate in research. I was assessments and why people come to Las Vegas. So
Oh,
it just broadened my whole, you know, it was like I should be paying them
wow. Okay.
for this experience. They shouldn't be paying me because this is like what, you know.
Wow.
So they treated me like a princess. I still have gifts right now where they presented me with some original scarves, or an original scarf by a designer, and it was I mean, they go full blast. The
Well,
gold
if I
box.
can just jump in when you say scarves, every time you have been in contact with you, especially if it's in the cooler months, you have a array of beautiful scarves. And let me tell you, honey, you wear them with so much class and pride.
I do,
I mean, you do that so that they knew what you really enjoyed.
and I'll tell you something. I wore scarves then. My insignia. I always wore a scarf around my neck, and my neck was a long neck. I was tall and skinny, and so I was I just wanted to make sure that I had the fabric and the pizzazz. So that was one of my insignias, to wear a scarf. And
Yes.
later when I model, I like to wear scarves too. I still like
Yes.
to wear a scarf.
Yes. Well, you've done so many things, and we've had several conversations. And I just recently found out in our personal conversation that you were in Ebony magazine. So if you can just tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Oh yes, I was working diligently at the during one of the periods of times where Muhammad Ali was at the hotel. He was filming the movie The Greatest,
Wow.
and then in the lounge there was an act, and so my job was to make sure all of the signs were right, the names were spelled correctly, and that kind of thing. Because you put money out, and you don't want to have to throw stuff in the trash. Well, this writer, he was a writer, was a freelance writer, a national freelance writer, he and his wife, Elliot Crane, and he loved eating at the Desert Inn. He was a big shot. And so he would come in, and then sometimes he would come in, I would see him and his wife. I would go, it's my job to take care of my people.
Yes.
Yes. So I would say, hey, you guys, I said, you enjoy your lunch. I said, it's on me. Enjoy yourself. Get a couple of drinks too. And then I just walk away.
Oh, you were
So,
a PR.
so he was like, I heard somebody in the because I was always talking with the employees, the waitresses and the bartenders, the dealers, and because we did the employee newsletter, so I knew all of them. And somebody said, "Oh yeah, she used to be a maid." And he said, "What? She used to be a maid?" And so he asked me, he said, "Were you ever a maid?" I said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I was a maid." And so he said, I want to do a story. I said, well, he did a story for the Las Vegas Today. That was another daily or weekly newspaper. And it was a very nice one. And he did that article. It was like a full spread. And
Wow.
then he had me correcting billboards and taking phone calls. I mean, he had me looking all important, which I was. I said, oh, you just follow me around. So anyway, he wrote the article. It was a great article. And then he sent the article to Ebony magazine. He said, you need to be in Ebony. And he was a white man, he and his wife. And I said, "Oh, you know about Ebony magazine?" He says, oh yeah." He said, I'm sending this to Ebony magazine." I said, "Oh, okay, all right,
Yes.
see." So then Ebony, they called me up and say, "Hey, we're from Ebony magazine. Is this true? Are you real?" I said, "Yes, I am." They had to call back and they checked with the answering, the operators. Is she
Yes.
really? the
Oh,
direct.
they wanted to make, they couldn't believe it.
So, because the operators, they would, we would crack up because people would say, Miss Brantley, and they would call. I had to pipe in calls at home, like if Frank Sinatra was in the hotel, or
Wow.
Sammy or Frank Sinatra or whatever that group was.
The Rat Pack.
Yeah, if they were eating, wanted to have dinner at the Monte Carlo room or whatever, which was a famous restaurant, they would call me because they knew which photographer was the best. So they called me, we want to get, so I said, okay, they'll be there. And I had my baby in one arm
Oh, bless it.
so I would have the news bureau go over and take the photographs, which is basically the hotels put up room, food, and beverage for the part of that goes to the Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Authority. So I get to call the news bureau, who have the most famous photographers, and then they keep stock photos of articles, so that when writers come to town, then they can go to the news bureau and pick out some of these wonderful shots they would never get themselves, because these are professionals, right?
Wow.
And Frank Sinatra just loved those photographs, and I got one too. He autographed one for me, thanking me for to get the photograph. He and one of the casino manager, they were
Wow.
eating, and so he autographed that for me, and they look so wonderful in their suit.
Was he a kind man when he
Yes.
interact with you?
Mm-hmm. I never talked with him
Uh-huh.
because he autographed the photograph and he gave that to the casino manager, who then gave it to me.
Okay.
Right. But I was in Ginger Rogers' dressing room and she autographed one right there for me. Okay.
Nice.
Gentry, and Juliet Prowse, and Foster Brooks and Nipsey Russell. These
Oh,
were
wow.
the entertainers that I work with. Debbie Reynolds used to frequent the office all the time. And, it was really funny. One day I looked up, Muhammad Ali was filming The Greatest in Vegas, and one of his entourage, I think it was his head chief of staff, they were eating in the hotel, and I just went in and I didn't say anything. I just told him to pick the tab up. Okay. And so his attorney, they found out who I was, right?
Wow.
Because I paid for their lunch. So he didn't believe it either. His entourage leader, or his chief of staff, I looked up, I was in the executive office, and I look up, here is a black man wandering through the executive offices. I recognized him as being with Muhammad Ali. I said,
Yes.
can I help you? And he said, I was just wondering if it was really true that you really work here. I
Wow.
said, yes, I do. I said, would you like some tea? Yeah. So I took him back and I said, well, have a seat. Let me just fix you. Well,
Well,
how do you like your tea?
I think that because it was so rare,
It was
people could
rare.
not put their head around, like, is that true? Now it is, so it's not a thing, but back then,
It was.
especially in Las Vegas, and you know the history and I know the history, how things were very segregated, and we had, what I mean,
It's true.
we had our own version of the strip at one point on Jackson Street.
That's exactly right.
So think about something to that matter. People are like, wait a minute, and tell the story, if you can, about Alex Haley, what he said to you about, because he didn't believe you as
No,
well, correct?
no, he didn't. Esther Langston, Dr. Esther Langston, she was with the Humanities Committee at UNLV, and they were doing a lot of cultural things, and they would get great speakers to come and speak. So we would learn. I mean, people like Alex Haley, people like Henry Louis Gates, they would come and they would speak at the Artemis Ham Hall, and we would learn so much. Of course, I mean, I'm still a student at UNLV part-time as well. So, being affiliated with Les Femmes Dues as a debutante back in 1965, all these ladies kind of took me under their wing, and I couldn't do anything. And they would just grab me by the neck and pull me down if I was out of line. So I couldn't get away with anything. So anyway, Esther knew, Dr. Langston, she knew. So they asked the hotel management, said, could we borrow Jackie Brownlee to be a hostess at the press opening and the community event where Alex Haley was going to come before he was going to speak at UNLV. So my general manager said, would you like to do that? I said, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'd love to do that because my folks are so impressed with Alex Haley, and it just ties right into our life. And so I was the hostess there, and Alex saw me. And by the way, I'm always trying to figure out how we can get some exposure for the Desert Inn. So we sent a telegram, and 2 dozen of long stem green roses that I had dyed. Green was his favorite color. And we sent a telegram and invited him and his whole entourage to the Monte Carlo room for spinach salad, because I understood he loved spinach salad. And so
you did your homework.
Yeah, he did. Well, you better. He walked across the room right to me. He said, look, I got your telegram. I didn't ask it. He didn't ask me if I was it. He said, I'll see you later.
Oh,
so his whole group, including Dr. Langston and a few other dignitaries, we had dinner. But about 3 weeks later, he said, he called the hotel and he said, can I be candid with you? I said, yeah. He said, I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. And all of his entourage, they didn't believe it. I said, wow. Well, believe it.
Yes. I think
so we became good friends, and he invited me to several events. One was which Joel my son had the measles, and I couldn't go, but he invited me to meet Betty Shabazz and Mrs. Coretta Scott King.
Wow.
They were together in Atlanta, and I couldn't go because my baby was sick. But my PR director said, look, I'll keep Joel next time. My wife is a nurse. I said, no, I'm not going to leave my baby. No.
That's right.
No, I'm not doing that. So, it was, there were a lot of times that I had to say no to things that would have taken my career to another dimension or direction. But I just asked God to help me to make the right decisions. And, I just follow my heart.
Yes.
That's what I did.
And, looking back from my perspective, looking at what you're saying, I don't see you having any regrets as we talk.
Oh, no.
And even the decision to stay home with your son at that particular time. As a mother, I respect that. And I also respect the mothers that choose to go. That was
exactly.
So, no blame either way, but you had your set of standards that
I did.
You
said
no to.
Right. I said no more than one time.
Wow.
And sometimes I think about those opportunities and I say, oh, well.
Yes.
Because they were apparently they were not for me. And I'm from a very, very spiritual background. I was raised in the Methodist Church, and my folks were very spiritual.
Yes.
So, I couldn't step too far out of line, that just, all these eyeballs were on me, and plus all the ladies from Late Film Dudes, they were watching me, and everybody was watching me. So, in school district personnel, they were watching me, so elementary school teachers were watching. So, I had to represent.
And I think that's a wonderful thing. You and I talk about the village mentality. Yes. I believe in it. And I think that's so necessary, where if you get too far, what we would say out of pocket or out of line, somebody can pull your coattail. Whereas now, nobody is pulling nobody coattail. And it doesn't have to be done in the media, but come here. That's not necessary.
Right.
Let's do something different.
Exactly.
And that's what you had. And that's why you are who you are.
Exactly. And I'm so glad I had it, going all the way back to West Side School, going to, Kit Carson. It was now it's Helen Tolan, H.P. Fitzgerald was the principal, Madison School. We had all these beautiful teachers. And of course, J.D. Smith Junior High and Rancho. We had a counselor that followed us all the way from Madison all the way to Rancho High School.
Stop it.
Yeah, we integrated, and we were prepared. And her name was Mrs. Doris Moore. And wow. I can tell you, when I was at DMV, she showed up and they said, "There's a lady out here named Mrs. Doris Moore." I said, "Oh no, she found me again." Let me go out there. I went out there. People were like, we were just, so this is the story of my life. I love the people that mean something to me, going all the way back to people that swept the streets, people that, the milkman, the guy down the street who cut the kids' hair. He would clean up the grocery stores. He would put boxes in front of houses with fruit that was going to be discarded, but they weren't that bad. And it was, people that needed that. I mean,
yes,
there were so many, when I talk about the historic West Side, I think about all these faces and these souls.
Yes.
That made it happen, not just for me.
Yes.
But for many young people. And there's been a lot of successful people coming out of that West Side.
Absolutely. And I think that's the secret. People are not aware. It's slowly but surely being revealed. But before, people would say, and no shade, like you had Detroit, you had LA, you have Atlanta, but Vegas is on the map, and we have phenomenal people. The only one that people really are aware of right now is Neo, and I'm not even aware. I don't know if he may have been born somewhere else, I'm not sure, but it is such a diverse, talented group of people that live right here in Las Vegas, born and raised.
I got you. I got some people that it wasn't just Neo, okay, because Neo used to practice across the street from my house with his cousins. Okay.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, he did. And Joe, and I would hear that music and I said, "Boy, they sound good, Joe. Who's that over there?" So that's Neo, and they're all okay. Joe's about 9 or 10. I said, "Wow, one of these days, they somewhere." So you had coaches.
Yes.
Okay. You had basketball stars, Greg Anthony.
Yes.
Freddie Banks.
Come on.
Michael Hollins.
Yes.
We had a young lady who she was a scholar. She ended up working for Pacific Gas and Electric Company in San Francisco. We had so many individuals. We had one guy. He went to Vietnam. He got a Purple Heart.
Wow.
So when you think about the historic West Side, you just have to, all right,
yes.
you just have to.
I agree.
Look at people, because they go, "Oh, well, you know what? Those people over there." Wait a minute, honey. You need to get it straight. You need to come and sit down. Let's have some tea.
Yes.
Because I think it's so sad that we have such a poor image when the people that are giving us the poor image don't know. I mean, it's just as simple as that. They don't know.
Well, we're changing that. And what we're doing, we're pulling out things from the past and revealing things that have not been told. And even right now, today, we have some phenomenal people that are doing great things. So my platform will always showcase what we do, but think about it, throughout the United States, every place where we have been predominantly there, we have pockets of gold that shine so bright.
I know.
And this is a prime example of it.
I know.
So
this platform is just so vital. It's vital to the history. Doing some research for your program, one of the questions was, when you were a little kid, what song were you singing?
Yes.
What song were you singing and you didn't know you were singing, why you were singing? Well, we were all in kindergarten, and it was country western in Las Vegas because we only had one radio station. They played country western most of the time. I like country western. Hell, I like Annie Oakley. Annie Oakley was a shoot 'em up. I had read but we were singing the song, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Oh yeah,
Oh,
she'll be coming around. We were singing, oh, we be just blasting in kindergarten. Oh wow, yeah. And then I looked it up. It said, you know what? This song, the beginnings of this song were written in 1899 because this song was a religious song that the slaves used because it was chariots, the chariot, swing low, swing chariot. And that was a reference to African American Negro spirituals. That's where that song came from. I mean, so, and then you take it a step beyond that, and you heard about James Baldwin's book, Go Yell It on the Mountain. Well, now I'm finding out that they're taking all of these wonderful Black books that teach us about our community, and they're labeling, banning them. So we really need to keep our history going.
Absolutely.
And then just see, I didn't even understand that myself, what I'm singing.
Yes.
But it was a Negro spiritual at one
Wow.
time, because they're talking about, and you talk about Funkadelic, Sweet Chariot.
Yes.
Yeah. I got into that because I was too busy going to school to even listen to Funkadelic. But then when I was Swing Down, Sweet Chariots, Let Me Ride,
that's right.
That's all part of it. And I'm telling you, I was like, wow.
I love how you draw these connections. I never thought about it like that. Listen, when I say you are a woman of wisdom, and every time I get the opportunity to talk to you, you are always giving me a different perspective to look at something. Wow.
Well, had you not asked me these questions, young lady, you in this too, I wouldn't be knowing this.
Oh, bless you.
So there's a lot of things, and my grandparents were spiritual, but when I was at the Desert Inn, there were times when things got rough, and my grandmother would say, now, you know what? You're a smart young lady, but sometimes you have a tendency to say things, but someone has taken that creative idea and ran with the ball.
Girl.
However, if you can give them just not a dissertation, but an outline.
Yes.
And then she and my grandfather would come out, and they would say, come on, we're going to sing a song with you. And I said, what song is that? And it's Jesus Will Never Say No.
Oh, come on.
And you can call them in. You know, the Williams brothers made that famous. And I have them on tape singing that. Wow. They're all gone now. And I said, let me tape you guys while you're singing it. And so they were singing it in harmony. And I came across the Williams brothers, and I was listening to that song. And I tell you, I was like, wait a minute, this thing is taking me to another level. Wow. Halima don't even know what level I'm going to right now, but I'm on another level.
Yes.
I was this morning pulling all of them, Sean Clark, he's doing good things. He keeps on doing good things for me.
Yes.
Oh, my Black Butterfly.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm in here rocking it this morning.
As you should. You are welcome. And I love what music put us in a space. It can have us to time travel. It teaches us how to learn. But more than anything, you touched on that you like country western. Music does not identify a color. No. It identifies an energy that you will resonate with. And I love that about music, because if I like it, I like it. I don't care who sings it.
That's right. And you just take James Brown.
Yes.
You know, when I was teaching, I used James Brown. I like Tower of Power. I keep on digging on James Brown. I mean, then I had my kids did a play, James Brown, Living in America. And then I played James Brown, It's a Man's World, and there's Pavarotti. Okay.
Yes.
Two of them together. And I said, well, shut my mouth. And then when he left out of Europe and he was walking away, they said, well, how do you feel?
Mm.
Yeah, feels good.
Yes, that's right.
There you
You
go,
s-
James.
you see how energy of the music just takes us, and it's a continuous
Thank you.
365 full circle. It always allows you to connect the dots in some kind of way. I have not met one person in my lifetime that could not connect with a song.
There you go. There
Not
you go.
one. Even people that get in their car and don't even listen to music on
Right.
and I won't mention who that is, but they still can tell me about a song that really perks or sits in their heart. So
Mhm.
music is such a wonderful thing, and I've always been
Oh,
connected to
yes.
it. I've always loved it, and you
Right.
can really find out who a person is just by talking the language of music. So I just love that we can communicate on that level. And as I say that, I want to transition into a question that I have for you. As a adult, or I'll say a teen, you had a opportunity to purchase your first, without anybody help, without anybody guidance. What was the first album or set or whatever you purchased, and why?
I fell in love with Frankie Lyman.
Ooh.
And I also fell in love with Elvis Presley and Little Richard at the same time. So I was gone. I was like, boy, what's
Yes.
going on in this rock and roll? And then the doo-wop, right? In the
Yes.
50s. Then you got Smokey and Marv.
Yes.
Anyway, Diana Ross. Okay. And of course, I thought I was Diana Ross, but you know what? But the one that really got to me was when I thought about Frankie Lyman. He
Mm.
was only what, 15? Why do fools fall in love?
Girl, come on now.
And Goody
Yes.
Goody.
Okay, yes, both of those.
Goody Goody and Why Do Fools Fall in Love by Frankie Lyman. And I
Yes.
had to play them both this morning.
Did you?
Oh, yes, Goody Goody. And then I found out Goody Goody, that's what Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, that's why they got so popular and there's so millions and millions of records. Goody Goody was written and performed back in the 30s by Benny Goodman, who was a
Wow.
clarinet player.
Uh-huh.
And he was famous for swing music, right?
Mm.
So when so Frankie Lyman came into the 50s, and I think about this, the 30s, and he had a beautiful songstress singing with him, Benny Goodman, and a lot of black people like Benny Goodman too. But then the swing turned into rock and roll, and
Mm.
so and doo wop. And so
Mm.
then Frankie Lyman was from New York, and he was, of course we had the Puerto Ricans, the blacks. I mean, it was just a culture. There was an interracial group, and they did "Why Do Fools Fall in Love."
Wow.
And they were so good. They went all the way to Ed Sullivan Show, and then of course I lost my mind. I saw him on Ed Sullivan, and I could sing it, and I was popping it with it. And
Yes.
we had a piano in our living room, and it had a couple of missing keys, but I still tried to play it, But but it was so much fun to get into the life of Frankie Lyman and his beautiful. And then after Frankie Lyman, now you've got Little Anthony and the Imperials, right?
Yes.
And then you've got all these doo-wop groups that came after him, because his voice, he was like, that's where Michael Jackson got all those steps, because Frankie Lyman was doing the splits, and they
Mm.
were doing the moonwalk back in the day.
Wow.
So, but
But it
he
wasn't called the moonwalk then. It was just
no,
a dance,
yeah,
right?
it was, well, Bojangles did it first.
Oh, I
He
didn't
did,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah, he did it on a staircase. He did the moonwalk up and down the stairs. I mean, that's just how bad he was, right?
Wow.
So, but then that's a lot. I do a lot of research on everything, and I did a lot of research when I fell in love with the work of Gregory Hines
Mm.
and his work in tap, and so that's when I started to research all of these beautiful uh, dancers and singers and icons and
Yes.
setter trendsetters because the guys, the men of our culture, you cannot, and the women
Yes.
in the 30s and the 40s, if you really want to get stylish on somebody, you will look at their clothes and
Wow.
you will not be able to take your eyes off of some of those suits. And that's why some of those suits I have recreated in my wardrobe because they're
Yes.
bad. They're bad. Because the guys, they were so clean. They were like clean enough to go into sterile surgery. They were just that clean. It was so clean. Jesse Owens, he get off the plane, Joe Lewis and Satchel
Yes.
Paige and all these guys, Billy Eckstein, all these guys, they could dress and you could not. They were and the women were so elegant in those gowns and gloves
Yes.
and pearls and oh my God,
Well,
hair.
that was the standard. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
was, they set the standards. You could not step out your house until you were completely dressed.
that's right. And you had to represent. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was happening in the West Side too. We had
Okay.
stepping out there. Girl, there was some clean people going back and forth to church. I got so hungry getting ready to take this lady's fruit off the top of her hat. I was sitting behind her and just looking at these. They had flowers and fruit on the hat. I mean, they were so clean. And I
Wow.
said, boy, that looks like a real grape. And I'm
Wow.
hungry, you
Well,
know.
with us, it's nothing new under the sun.
No,
We continue to,
clean.
yes, yes. And we're so creative. And this does not dismiss anybody else because I acknowledge
No, that's
every
true.
demographic. And I do believe I try to spirit by the spirit. So if your spirit resonates with me, no matter what color you are,
That's true.
that's who you are. But we still must
Yes, yes.
celebrate who we are.
Exactly. And that's where that black butterfly, but in the song, it doesn't say black butterfly. It says like butterfly. It's not
Oh,
saying black butterfly. It's saying like butterfly. And by the way, that song was written by Terry Lewis.
wait
Jimmy.
a minute. You're telling me the song that Denise Williams sung?
Not free, not
Okay.
free, but not no. Yeah,
Her
not
Black
that
Butterfly
one. No,
song.
I'm talking about the sounds of blackness.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
sounds of blackness, black butterfly.
Yes,
That was
okay.
in the song and the lyrics is like butterfly, not and it
Yes,
talks about the butterfly being free and starting anew, and then generations pass. This, when
yes.
you get into those lyrics, you'll see what I'm saying. It
You know,
it,
I'm
it
I'm
deserves
gonna
some.
go back and listen to because I love Sounds of Blackness.
Oh
They were
yeah,
phenomenal.
that song. This morning I got up and I tell you, it brought tears to my eyes. Between that
Wow.
song and Jesus Will Never Say No, it was
Wow.
on in this kitchen.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah,
wow.
that's
Yes,
why
ma'am.
you get people don't realize that when they're feeling a little depressed or out of
Hmm.
sorts, if they would just think of one of the songs that would
Yes.
get them to a level,
Yes.
like I was just listening to, it was just a lull time with all the media and the things going on in the life, and then I just came across Damien Escobar, Taboo.
Mm, mm.
I say, well, let me shut up and play this one more time. And then
Yes,
so I
ma'am.
shared it with everybody. I said, oh my God, that yes, because you need some type of uplifting
Hmm.
feeling. And then there is nothing that you can do except reading or praying or whatever. Music can do it for
Yes.
you. They can change it just like that.
You are hitting on
Lyrics.
all levels of what I believe wholeheartedly. So, can we, before we move forward, acknowledge your mother and your sister as you were leaning back and you were rubbing your jewelry? the spirit came to me and said, we must acknowledge. So let me put this on the table. I met your sister before I met you many years ago. And I had no idea that you two were sisters, and I'm blessed to meet two sisters from the same family. But I need you to acknowledge your sister name and your mother name, because I believe that when someone passed, they pass two times if we don't continue to speak their name and to celebrate them. So let's honor the both of them. If you please say their first and last name.
Yes, my mother, Susie Moody Parker.
Yes.
My sister, Audrey Hawkins Wesley. I have another sister that left
Yes.
me. Toyce Parker Roper.
Yes.
Toyce Thomas Parker. Toyce Parker Thomas Roper.
Yes.
And I've lost them and a brother, Arnold Parker. There's just one remaining sibling, and his name is Phil Parker, Phil Anthony Parker. I just have one, but I hold him so close. He can't do too much, right? Because
Yes.
I got you. I got you.
Well, thank you for honoring them. So we're going to
Thank
give
you.
them a hand. So
Thank you.
I believe they are on the other side. They are looking out. They are now angels that work for your benefit. So we got to give them a hand. And thank
Yay.
you for acknowledging them.
Yes.
And as we transition, I have one more question before we get out of here. So many times we have our peaks and our valleys. It happens to all of us. Sometimes people think, oh, the celebrities don't have it, or the ones that living over here don't. We all encounter it. It's called life.
Yes.
What was what I would call your tap in song? The song when your spirit was low or it was challenged, or you just wanted to kick somebody butt and you had to tap into a song that would take you out of that energy. What is your tap in song?
Well, I'm glad that you asked me that question. I can always go back to my Earth, Wind, and Fire volumes. So volume
Yes.
number 1, 2, 3, but I'm gonna leave them alone because they're. But let me bring another group to you.
Yes, ma'am.
The group is called Clear, Kleer.
Never heard of it.
Well, you have now.
Yes.
And the song that hit me off of their album, and they're from New York, and they were famous in the 80s, late 75 to 84. But you may have heard of them with the song Intimate Connection.
Yes.
But yeah, Intimate Connection and Ride It. But the song from that album, Clear, is Go For It. Wow. Go For It.
Yeah.
That song is, and you can tell that they wrote it. They're New Yorkers, right? Mm-hmm. So they were saying, like, in one of the lyrics is say, so you're trying out, you're scared, you're trying out to for this Broadway part, right?
Yes.
And you're afraid. Hey, I heard nothing beats a failure but a try.
Okay.
Nothing beats a failure but a try. And don't give up. And it said, because you know what? You're going to go for it. And then in some of their slug lines, they went sacred cloth, sacred cloth to get you going, because you're sacred cloth. You're like a sacred cloth, right? And so, you see this young lady, she with somebody else and this and that, but you can see she's not too happy, or he's not too happy. And then you don't see her with him anymore here later on down the road. And you say, well, you scared to say something. So, well, you know what? Why don't you say, how are you today? Yeah. And start it that way.
Oh,
see, because it's not over.
Yes.
And it's because I really honestly believe there is somebody for everybody.
Yes.
But we just overlook them. Mm-hmm. We just don't look. We're not tuned into the spiritual thing, where the light is shining on them, right?
Oh, we're looking at the package. We're
We're
not
looking at something else, but then there's something about it, a person that you may be on an elevator, maybe in the grocery store, you may be at the gas station, and something will hit you and you'll go, you know what that something is. I don't have to
Yes.
tell you what that something is. So the song is Go For It.
Wow. I love
That's the
that.
name. The lyrics will blow your hair back.
I can't wait to go and
That's my
research that.
go-to. Yeah.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. So that's always your song that
Yes.
whenever something, go for
Right.
it.
Well, if I
Wow.
ever ran for political office, that's going to be my main song.
Go ahead.
Everybody gonna hear it. If I, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna run too old. But I was thinking,
No.
if I do something and I need a theme song, that's gonna be it. Because
Yes.
I want everybody to feel happy. I want everybody to feel a picker upper. I want everybody when they feel down. I want them to think of something beautiful,
Yes.
and that song has it all.
I love that.
And
I
if and
love that.
you said in one of your questions, if you repeat something so many times, like a group, and
Yes.
get that energy going
Yes.
in the song, go for it. And that's the refrain, the back, it just constantly go for it is in the background.
Yes.
So you see, they got the lyrics on, and they go for it. I mean, you're just
And that is a
go
group
for it.
participation
Yes,
song. If
yes.
everybody is saying it together, think about the elevated energy. Go for it.
Go for it.
Yes.
Play it for you but anyway, that's a song you could play for yourself, and you can see why it is a go-to. And no matter, if you feel yourself, see, I feel if there's a peak and a decline in anything, right?
Yes.
So when you feel in that decline, put something in it that's going to take you back to another peak.
You know what?
That song
Listen,
is it.
that is wisdom.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love
You
it.
see yourself going down, you may as well say, wait, hey. I don't want to go 4 more feet. If I can change this direction right now, let me do it.
Yes.
Let me try to do it.
Yes.
Let me get it, try it,
Yes.
and put some music with it.
I agree. I definitely agree. This interview, of course, has been phenomenal. We've rode down many, many, many streets. We did some circular streets. We did some back and
Yeah.
forth, but
Yeah.
it has been absolutely amazing. It has been an honor for me to learn from you, personal and professional. And before we get out of here, I would like you to talk about anything that you're working on, whether it's a book or any social media handles, if you want to share anything you have on your heart you would like to share with the audience.
Okay. Yes, I am. I'm working on a book, and I've been working on a book for many, many years. And it's a wonderful book. But I'm so glad I didn't publish it before now, because so
Mm.
many things have happened, and I would have had to write another book. So, hey, I mean, I'm just going to write one book, I think. But anyway, yes, I am working on a book, and it's a biographical sketch of growing up here in Las Vegas and all of the good stuff, all the good people, the wonderful folks that helped me to get to this level. And, some of the things that I'm sure people will find interesting.
Yes.
They will find wisdom in them, because I found wisdom in other books. So then I
Yes.
will let them know where I found my wisdom.
Go ahead.
So that's the kind of thing. And we have to continue to share.
Yes.
We need to
Yes.
share.
Yes.
So that's basically, but then I'm also working on another, I've been asked to do another documentary. I'm doing that. And I'm also, I was asked to be a publicist for an entertainer. I'm thinking about that. So I have a lot of things on the drawing board, but most importantly, I want to be available to my family and to my grandchildren, my family, my grandchildren, and my friends, because, we've all been together through thick and thin, and the community, of course. So, it's always something to do,
Yes.
always something to do.
Well, I can't tell you how our energies have always been in alignment. I think I've known you now for over 8 years, and I feel like I've known you all my life. Whenever we get on the actual phone, we just go on,
Yeah.
and you always pour into me. But I don't know, when I look at interviews about you or you're having a conversation with someone, you consistently acknowledge the people that have supported you. You're always talking about someone in the community who encouraged you. And I think it's such a wonderful thing. It's so many people that say, I, and forget to acknowledge the people that have made a difference. You are consistently doing that. And I love that. I honor you
You.
for that. And I am blessed. When I say blessed, my shirt says blessed status.
Yes,
This is
yes.
my own t-shirt line. And I wore that today in honor of you.
Wow, that is a nice shirt. That is a nice shirt. I guess I'm gonna have one of those myself.
Yes, well, if you want one, I'll make it for you. That
Okay.
is definitely that, and it comes from the heart. But I
Yes.
just really want to say thank you before we wrap up. I
Thank you.
appreciate you saying yes.
Thank you.
You are 75 years young,
Yay.
and
Glad
I
to be
love
here.
and I love that you continue to have that zest for life. So many times I've met people and they was like, "Oh, I'm 70," and they don't give their self the knowledge to say, "I still have so much to do."
Yeah.
And I love that you are in that space. Is like,
I
I'm
don't
still rocking
understand.
it.
I don't understand the word bored. If
Yes.
somebody tells me they're bored, I say, "What? Can you come over here for a couple of days?
Yes.
Yeah, I got something for you." Okay. No.
Well,
It's
I think if you tap in young to your creative energy, you're never bored. It's a time and place for everything. We have time
yes.
when we should sleep, a time when we should counsel, a time where we should eat healthy. All of these things have its
Amen.
time and place, but
Right.
we should always acknowledge our source
Yes.
and keep our creative energy going.
Yes.
And because of that, we will continue, in my perspective, to elevate and to connect with God, the source.
Yes.
So
Amen. Thank you so
thank
much for having me. I appreciate that. I have had what a good experience this was today. Thank
Oh,
you.
you are more than welcome. And thank you for saying yes. I just want to say one more thing before we get out of here. When I originally told you what I was going to do, and I said, would you? And you said yes before you even knew the concept.
I
And I
know.
said, wait a minute, I haven't told you what it was about. And you said, no, I'm going to do it. And I so appreciate that. It makes such a difference when we keep our word, but more than anything, you believed in me, and
I do. I
I
do.
appreciate it.
You're you're our future. You know, a young lady, you've got all of this creative energy, and it's good create, it's good trouble. It's good trouble. And you've got it. So keep on doing what you're doing because you are definitely on the right track, and you're going to bring so much joy to our community, to our city, to our state, to our world.
Thank you.
You educate a woman like you educate a whole family,
Yeah.
and you educate a whole state in a union. So, that's the wonderful thing about you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And before I get out of here, I always give this spiel that the we talk about the journey and the destination. The journey is where we learn and we grow. The destination is truly where we celebrate. But the key to it all is not to remain in the destination. We have to get back on that journey so we can continue to learn.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, I thank everybody. Please continue to support me with Message Reveal with an ED on the end. I tell people to, thank you. I tell people to not follow me, but join me. We're
Join.
on YouTube at 7 o'clock on Mondays.
Okay.
And I'll make sure I get you the
Thank
information.
you.
And anytime I leave with my men, I salute them. But with my women, I bow to them. And I'm happy and honored to bow to you guys. Let's give her another round of applause. Phenomenally, Miss Jackie. And I bow to you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you, thank you, thank you.